with Facebook. It's I mean, you got to cross-reference your sources, right? It's not always about Google. You gotta check your sources with Facebook. You know, I wouldn't be using it if I had it. Thank you for offering. There you go. Okay. So, what's next? So what do you want to do with this tree anyway? Mm-hmm.
So I think the base of the tree that way. So I was hoping for a padding here, and then kind of like three there. Kind of.
So this is a privet, so you can cut this guy's way back. Yeah, and that's what I suggest you do is to cut it maybe, you know, to some 3 or 4 leaves.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right, cut it back, and then what then you'll get is you're gonna get a new set of branches coming out. And you cut those back again. Okay. Right, and then you're gonna get more and more and more, and so you get really good ramification, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Is this the time of year to cut it?
It's a privet. You can cut it anytime. It's a hedge. I mean, yeah. Okay. Good job. All right, here you go. Where's the next tree? Which one is yours? All right, so what do we have here? Procumbens or San Jose?
Couldn't tell you, don't know.
Couldn't tell me. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make it into windswept, and I'm trying to figure out how severely to take it to the next level.
Okay, so if you're trying to do windswept, yeah, windswept is a good idea for something like this. But what I would probably do is instead of bending the branches down like you're doing, I would bring them up a little bit more, right? My thinking behind it, and the reason why I'm saying to do that instead of going up, right? Windswept tend to be more prevalent in coastal areas, right? In coastal areas, you don't typically have the big heavy snow that pushes the branches down and tight into the, you know, very severe angle. So they tend to grow up and out, okay? And so you don't want to have them so tight, because if you have a windswept that's going like this, it doesn't make any sense, okay? Because if it is a windswept, the wind is obviously pushing it, but it's pushing it away from the tree, right? It's not pushing it down on it, okay? So it's pushing away, right? And so you have that wind, that constant wind that's blowing. It's not, the branches are not going to be allowed to go down, okay? So then you don't push them down. You kind of like give them an angle upwards, okay? Because as the wind is pushing them, yeah, it's killing pretty much everything that's behind here, right? But it still wants to fight over there because that's where the sun is, right? And so it's trying to look for the sun, and so the sun is always, you know, it's above it as well, right? And so it's always trying to reach for the sun. Right? So what causes a tree to have the branches straight down? Right? It's a couple of things. It's either the weather, right? So big packs of snow or ice that forces the tree to stay there for a long time, not just overnight. You know, I'm talking about months, right? And then what else can cause it, right? Like fruit sometimes will hold the branches straight down. And so you see maybe some deciduous trees. So, or for example, like oaks, what causes the oaks to have branches that come straight down? It's because they are trying to fight and trying to find the light. And so everywhere they put out branches in every single direction, trying to find where the light is. And sometimes you do get branches that come down, but then it comes back up again once it finds the light, okay? So with windswept, you typically don't want to have branches that go straight down. It just looks very odd, okay? And so we'll move these branches up like so, right? And then we'll straighten this out. And then I'm thinking that you can actually remove these branches here. Okay. This one, there's nothing between here and here, right? And it's kind of low on the tree. Okay. And it's not explaining anything about what's happening in the environment. Okay. So we have to think about what's going on in the environment that this is living in. So this branch would probably not exist there. This one also is kind of like coming straight down. Looks kind of odd. It has that odd angle that it doesn't match with anything else up here, right? So I would say bring this up and out, right? And then you would have a much better tree this way. Okay?
Right.
And then I would remove these guys.
Okay.
So even if we were to do, can I do that for you?
No.
Okay. So even if you were to do this, right? So just doing this, just lifting this up, you can see there's a much better view already. Okay. All right. So here you go.
Thank you.
You can play with that later.
And I don't know what happened to my ribbon. No, this is burn or this is something else going on. The needle.
Yeah, this happens when you don't give it enough water. So, redwoods love water, okay? And it looks like maybe you let it dry out once or twice, right?
Well, I was on vacation, so I was getting water twice a day by the sprinkler. So.
Yeah, sometimes the sprinkler misses. Like you might water one side, but not the other, right? And so that might be the case that happened here, right? So like the sprinkler hit this side, but maybe not this side.
Okay, so the issues on the needles is the brown on the needles is just from that.
Yeah, most likely.
There's no test or anything else for
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah, I'll help you. Is this your ginkgo?
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on here?
You're the volunteer at the Bonsai collection at the, oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
garden. And they finally let me, when I was moving away, they let me buy. And so all of this has been come about since I moved up here about 2 years ago. I'd like to get it back to kind of
So,
featuring the
what was it about the tree that you enjoyed? What called your, I mean, other than it's a ginkgo.
Double trunk.
Okay.
And that they were found
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'm very fond of ginkgos.
Mm-hmm.
They're ancient trees, and I would like to maybe thin it out a bit,
Okay.
especially up here with the new growth, and which ones could I maybe get rid of?
Mm-hmm.
New growth. And does it need to be repotted?
Does it need to be repotted? Let me check. No. It doesn't need to be repotted. So two things. Well, it is potted a little bit high.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a very common problem that we have with a lot of older trees, that we keep potting them up and up and up and up and up to where, you know, now you have a lot of roots here. I would like to see this potted up to maybe about right there.
So I
For you guys.
put it in a deeper pot.
You can put it in a deeper pot, yeah, you know, and eventually get the roots down underneath, taken out. So starting from the bottom, then we move up to the trunk. say you like the duality in this tree, right? The two ginkgos kind of playing with each other.
Become extraneous at this point, or can I get it back?
Yeah, I would happen to agree with you there.
About 3 leaves back or 3.
No, I would cut it all the way back to here.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and even remove this branch here.
those were there when,
But
Okay.
this is me. I'm just giving you your opinion, my opinion. This is your tree. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm just giving you my opinion, and you can go from there. You know, this is not the rule of the law. I'm just telling you what I would do to try to get this tree into what I would consider a little bit tighter shape,
yeah.
right? To me, I like it. I do like the two trees, right? You have these two trees here. It's almost like a couple walking along, and if you were to remove this piece here, then you see the couple getting back together again at the top, right? It's almost like they want to kiss each other, right?
Right.
So you can see that here, right? So this and this here, right? So, and you have the nice, this is almost like the male, right? And the nice sexy female here with a little bit more curves on it, And so, yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
All right.
right?
The fullness at the top.
I think it's a little too high. A little bit way too high. I would bring it down a little bit shorter, right? Because this is a little bit too tall, right? For the trunk that you have, I would imagine a height about this big here. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want with it. Take my advice or not, it's okay.
Is it all right to have the buds on the trunk?
Yeah, no, these buds are fine. I think you can probably take advantage of some of these buds down here for later branching.
Yeah.
Like this one here. Let me show everybody. This one here is coming up, and then you have these two buds down here, right? I would cut back to there, right? Because now you have a big space here that has no buds, nothing of interest. The next bud is all the way out here, right? And so these are kind of tight to each other. I would take advantage of those two. The next set of buds is way up here, and then you have nothing and all the way up to here. So if you were to cut it back, you're going to get some buds back in here. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
He can cut it any time. When will it bud back next year?
When the leaves drop?
Yeah, after the leaves, but when the leaves start to come out again.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, cutting it.
You can cut any time.
Yellow.
You can cut any time. Okay, because you're not looking at growing anything after you cut, right? So what you're interested in is below that, and the sooner you do that, the more energy is going into this area than it is going being wasted up here.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting a lot of long growth up here that you're not going to use, you don't need. You're not growing the trees for girth, right? Because these are already kind of sexy the way they are, kind of thin and tall like this, right?
So, it's like I'm gonna
We're good?
I guess so. Other than,
Well, think about it.
Is it always gonna grow full-size leaves at this point?
No, ginkgos can get leaves down to about that size.
Yeah.
Okay, but that requires that you water correctly, that you fertilize correctly, that you do the right thing. At this point on this tree, we don't look for that.
Right.
Full leaves is okay. I mean, you're already getting some small leaves back here, and I'll show you the size of these leaves are much, much smaller. Like these guys back here, right? And you even have an even smaller one inside, right? So yeah, you can get very small leaves on ginkgos. But at this point, don't worry about the leaf size. Okay, that's gonna take maybe another 6 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
so don't worry about that right now.
I maybe have 6 or 10 more years.
Well, I'm hoping you have 30 more, okay?
No,
At least. All right.
Yeah, I have one more ginkgo that it's too big to bring in.
Okay.
Uh,
I like this. It's very nice and sexy.
I'm so glad that they allowed me to buy it.
Yeah.
It's pretty old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's even a question of which of these two trunks to keep. I mean, there's these two branches.
Oh, well,
You could almost go to this one here. Yeah.
just
Sure. Well, let's give somebody else a chance. I'll put it back for you. Yes. What do we got here? So what's going on?
don't look at the water.
Oh my God. Now that you pointed it out. So what's going on? What do you want to do with this one?
That's what I want you to tell me. I wanted to keep this
Okay.
and just, bring it down, wire it down like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's flatten out. This up here, I'm confused about. I don't know whether to just keep this part or take this part off.
Mm-hmm. If you are to keep this one, I would go and start grafting closer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is, if you bring it down some more, you're down almost at the soil level, right? And you have all this growth down here. Really, it's below soil level, right? So I would start grafting inside. I know you can do that,
Okay.
right? So I would start grafting inside, like getting some more ramification here. So then you can build the pad about that big.
Oh, okay. You don't want it to come this far out.
No.
You're talking about.
Yeah, like that. Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would, if you want to keep this branch, that's where I would go.
Well, then I'm going to set this out over here. That would be way too much over there, right?
It would be way too much. So then you want to bring that back. Maybe you can use this branch here, back branch or something, right? Or cut it all together. It'll be fine if we're looking at elevating it a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Just take it up and turn.
Yeah. Right? And then you have this one here. You bring this one in nice and tight. Bring this one in. This one is probably not going to last long. Like it's already broken up here.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, and then just build up your tree up here. Okay. So.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay, you're looking at it from above there. I'm looking at it from down
Mm-hmm.
here. It's got a long, slender,
Mm-hmm.
equal-sized trunk all the way off. It might lend itself to be better into the wood gin or bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Cut off all those lower branches and just develop the top and a nice wood gin.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
opinion, okay?
yes. That's a good point. And I think that's a good idea. That's where I would have gone also. But he wants to keep this branch. So if he wants to keep this branch, he needs to bring it in closer.
Yeah.
Right? And then that would work with the Bunjin style, right? So this one would be kind of like a lower branch on the Bunjin. And then we can even remove this one here and then start working up here. This would be kind of odd, but it would work.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at it from this angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And tie it down better to this. That thing is shaking like this. It's probably why, you know, it looks a little bit unhealthy. Yeah. Oh. Yikes. How many spines does this one have? Spines. Okay. What type of tree did you say it was? Yeah, barberry tree. It's cute. So what do you want to do with it?
I'm open for suggestions, but I was thinking almost a little broom style, except for the roots.
There you go. Open for suggestions if you want it to be a broom style. Yeah. You just get it in January. Oh, yeah. Well, it's pretty, and it will look a lot prettier over time. And I think you're doing the right things, especially if you wanted to keep it as a broom style. I think, you know, just keep trimming it back and then allowing it to branch out again and trimming it back and allowing it to branch out. You know, you're going to do that back and forth for the next 4 or 5 years. And barberries tend to grow roots pretty nicely. You can cut this root off probably, right? But I would wait till like next year, right? And keep it in a bigger pot for now, right? This eventually will get into a smaller pot, but for now, keep it in a bigger pot because you're just growing it, okay? Later on, you just slowly, once you start getting the ramification that you like, start working on reducing the roots. That will do 2 things for you. You will keep the ramifications smaller, right? You're gonna get the inner nodes to be smaller, right? You don't need that at this point, but later on you would, and then it will fit it in a nice small pot, okay? And start working on this, like you said, you work on the roots. So this one, you can probably take it off next year. No, it doesn't matter. You can cut it all off or cut, you know, halfway off. It doesn't matter. Yeah, just wait for next January or so, right? And you probably don't need to repot it, but that's when I would cut that root. Okay. Yes, sir. Right.
You know, you could put that thing once you get it the way you like it. You could put it in the size of
yeah. Yes. Really tiny.
This one is very tall. It has red flowers, bright red fruit.
Yes. Yeah, and take advantage of any back budding that you get, right? Leave that and then cut back some of the other ones, right? Yeah, you can see it's already rebudding, right? So these are strong growers. And the roots can take quite a bit of abuse. Yeah.
You like the front? Well, because I replanted it.
I would angle it a little bit more like that. Yeah. So I will turn it around for you guys. That, you know, the backside is not too bad either, right? So backside is not so bad. Yeah. I think that if you're choosing this as your front, it's a little bit too open. Okay. Yeah. No, you don't have to get rid of anything. Yeah. So it would be more like right here, almost like there. That might be a little bit better than what you have here, because here it's kind of boring. Okay. Yeah, there's really nothing there. You know, you can even turn it a little bit more, and that would make it look a lot nicer from that side. You know, angle it a little bit more up. Okay.
It was in a pot quite a different angle, and I brought it up and just covered the roots with moss.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. Anybody else? Hey. Sure. Okay, now you're just showing off. Okay, yeah. Really? Okay, well, now you're just showing off. Okay, look, everybody, I have apples. And do you have apples? No, I don't think so. Okay, yeah. So what's your question?
Well, okay, so with the bike, rather than wire things, and this is so old, I would, is this going to, you know, am I gonna have some back bedding or
You should.
the next year I'd be able to
Yeah, you can
trim it back? Right
trim
now,
it back
we
now.
need it because it's
Yes.
messing up.
I mean, you have buds coming out already up here.
So when will I trim it?
You know, when everybody trims apples, right? So it's winter time, right? Yeah.
What a great call, Cruz. Where'd you get that?
Yeah, no kidding.
As Tina said, it's an apple pie, it's an apple pie pot.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great pot. No, it looks like a Jim Grimmel.
Yeah.
Yes. It is a apple pie pot. This is amazing. I like what you've done with it. I think the pot is great. Even if you don't get any bud backs,
Yeah.
I think what you have currently is more than enough. You know, sometimes these fruit trees are just like this. It's just light, right? It's not something that you want to have a lot of ramification on.
All right.
It won't look that good if it's all very ramified, because it's all scraggly and it's been, you know, through hell and back. So I think maybe less ramification would be probably better for this tree.
My mom's tree, so
Oh my God,
started, yeah.
come on. Yeah, oh yes. And it has great character. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have takers here. I mean, who doesn't want that pot? I mean, come on up and look at this thing. Really, walk up here and look at this character. Look at this old, dried out stuff that's in here. It's just amazing. You're not going to see this too often, right? And that is hands down. I mean, beautiful.
Okay, put it on that for just a second until I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, very stale tree, right?
pretty
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, it's just the way it is right now. It speaks volumes.
Well, we like it, and usually it had the apples this year.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't pot it as low as you did. It would
Okay.
a little bit higher, maybe a little bit better,
Oh, okay, so berries is small.
like
Very
up to
nice.
here,
Okay. Gotcha.
up to there.
Okay.
Yeah. And you do have this crazy root up here, but
Yeah.
if you don't have that, it kind of loses the point. So
That,
keep it.
oh, okay.
It's kind of quirky that way.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing that I'm seeing a lot of people do is that they underpot their trees, and then what ends up happening is that the roots start to die off right there, and it just becomes a bulb, and it's not really
Okay.
all that interesting. If you were to pot it up a little bit more, you know, you don't want to see roots going in like this. You want to see them going out
Yeah.
like that, right?
Right.
And if you don't have that, you want to give the appearance that is happening. Okay. And so when you have this thing going down, it's not so attractive as if you make people think that you have roots going
Yeah.
down.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, that made a difference when you went like that.
Yes.
I see it.
Okay.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome. Yes, sir. Hey, how are you? All right. Okay, Kurumat. Black line? Okay, so what's your question? What do you want to do with this one? Okay, what did you not do this year? Right? Yes. Okay. So from the looks of it, there's a couple of things that happened to this tree. right? You either overwater it or underwater it. Most likely overwater it, and you had it in the shade, right?
Full sun, but
Lots of water, too much water. And the reason you can see that is because the needles start to curl up here. The new needles start to curl. Yeah. Okay. So you keep it a little bit drier and more fertilizer. Okay. What I suggest is that my regimen, and so black pines, to me, you can keep them on a schedule, on a calendar. Okay. From January to mid-June, you fertilize weekly with fish fertilizer, like, you know, the 500 or yeah, or 511. But fish fertilizer works best for me. The Alaska fish fertilizer, I love it. Okay, smells wonderful, but it really, really works. And then, so you let all the buds grow out then, okay? From January to June. Then you, in June, middle of June, end of June, you cut them, okay? The new candles, you cut them off, okay? And then you balance it by just keeping a few needles. Okay, so less needles at the top, more needles at the bottom. And then you don't fertilize until the next set of candles come out. Okay, yeah. And they harden. They start to open up and they actually harden. Okay, so they're hard, not just barely open up, they harden. Okay, and what that does is that it keeps the inner nodes very tight. So you stop fertilizing, and then once they harden, you start fertilizing again. Okay, so that would be maybe end of September, middle of September to maybe like November timeframe. Yeah. Okay, then you fertilize again once a week. So what you're doing is you're feeding it in late September through November. You're feeding it so that the new candles in January or February come out strong. Okay, and then you keep feeding it so that then it has enough energy to put a second set of candles. Okay, that first set of candles, you don't care. They can be this long, sure, right? Because what you're gonna do, you're gonna cut it back to nothing. But you only let one candle go at a time. So if you have multiple candles like this, you go in there and you break them off. Okay, you only let one. If you have multiple candles, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get this big bulb on there. Okay, and it's gonna look ugly. So then when you come back in here in June, late June, early July, depending on how hot your weather is. Your weather is really hot, so maybe even in July. You go back there and you cut it off, okay? And then you're gonna get the next set of buds. And then you would have a very healthy tree with small needles. I mean, my needles, they get to be very little. I mean, this size, right? Teeny weeny, okay? And so, but I keep them on a schedule. And it's very, very simple to keep these guys on a schedule. You train them, yeah. Yeah, and ramification comes quickly with these guys. Right? So every year one year you're gonna get 2, the next year you're into 4, the next year you're into 8, and the next one is 16, you know, 30, 34, right? 32, you know, 64. Whatever. Yeah, you know, math. Yeah, and in 5 years, you have branches that are extremely ramified. Nice. Yes. So you can do that with this one. You can, you have some nice inner branches in here. And let me show everybody. You see this one back here? That's the one you want to work with. That's the one you want to work with because that's nice and close to the trunk. And it has really close inner nodes. Okay. You have other ones like in here. You can cut it back to that now if you want. Yeah. And so, you want to, make sure that that one's healthy. Yeah, definitely. You can, oh yeah, this is, black pines are actually some of the easiest trees to work on, but you just have to keep the schedule. Okay, and the thinking behind it is you feed to get your next set. If you want to keep the next set, you stop feeding while that is growing. If you know you're not going to keep it, you keep feeding it because you're feeding it for the next one.
The one after that.
The one after that. Okay, so it's about trying to get enough energy into the roots so that it has enough energy to push out new buds. Okay, new candles. Okay.
And then to Japan, you
And
were
then to Japan, exactly.
for, like,
I was working in Bonsai, and it's a bonsai nursery in Japan, one of the premier bonsai nurseries over there, for 2 years at the Bonsai and Bonsai Nursery.
okay.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if some of you guys may know the name Saburo Kato. He
Yeah.
was pretty,
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the
top guy.
gods. Yeah, he's one of the gods.
Yeah,
The
so
gods
it
of
was
bonsai.
this nursery that I went to.
Yeah, okay, very good. And then you're back here and you're back with Midori. Are you still president of Midori?
I'm not president of Midori, but I ran most of their demos and workshops during the COVID through Zoom.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so I understand your pain.
You feel our pain, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to turn the program over to you and
Okay, great.
we'll continue with evaluating. Looks like we have a lot of really good material here to work with
It's
tonight.
a good crowd.
And it's a good crowd. Thank you guys all for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Juan, and we'll continue with evaluating trees.
All right, hopefully everybody on Zoom can hear me. And I have a small presentation that I kind of put together just to give you an idea of where my mind is when I'm looking at trees, other than me being crazy. You know, I have at least an excuse of what's going on here. So let me bring up. Yeah, I'm gonna do it myself. I know. Okay, so let me go ahead and share. We'll share. All right, hopefully you guys can see this now. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. So it's essentially bonsai, and we're talking about bonsai tree improvement, okay? So let me try to bring this down and out of the way. Okay, so first of all, the big question I always ask is what does bonsai represent to you guys, right? Is it many trees, mimic many trees in nature? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to represent when we're talking about bonsai, right? Is it really just all, you know, natural trees that are in nature? What is it that we're trying to represent? So these are the type of things that I keep always trying to think about it when I'm looking at bonsai. It's like, what are we doing with this thing? Oh, thank you. Right, so you know that we have different styles that we always think about it, and we use them to communicate with other people. And this is really good for beginners to try to understand. Okay, so when we're talking about an upright, what does that mean? What does it represent? When, you know, exposed roots, whipping, you know, these are simple styles that we use to just give a vision. But when you're looking at quality bonsai, it goes way beyond this, okay? It goes way beyond this, just the typical style. So it really means more than this, right? You know, there's some pruning techniques that we use. You know, are there any really rules in bonsai? Oh, I think somebody stepped away from a little too far. Now my here is kind of muffled. So, you know, are there any rules to what we should keep, what we should not keep, as far as branching is concerned? Well, there's really no rules. There are no rules in bonsai. They're just guidelines. Sometimes you can use it, you know, it works. Sometimes it doesn't work, and so you don't use it, right? So these are just guidelines that people put together, like, you know, no bar branches, no crossing branches. But I can guarantee you, and I can tell you that every single bonsai I worked with in Japan had broken at least 10 of these rules, okay? Crossing branches, we use them all the time. All the time we use that, right? Because there was something ugly that we needed to cover up, so we brought the branch over. That's just the way it is, right? So it was better to have a crossing branch than to have that open and seeing that ugliness, okay? So yeah, so these are only guidelines. If you read the books, you know, take it with a grain of salt and just use them and see where you can apply them. So what is a good bonsai? In my mind, a good bonsai has good energy balance in the composition, okay? That means that the perceived energy of the tree matches that of the pot. The energy of the trunk matches that of the branches, right? So if you have a bunjin, for example, and it's very, very full with the branches, right? And very full with the foliage, then how can you have a very skinny, tall, you know, deprived tree, but yet very full? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So you need to think about how to balance the tree and also how to balance the pot. You know, one of the things that happened to me as an apprentice in Japan, we were repotting. We were repotting these trees, and then we had this beautiful bunjin, very feminine black pine. And to me, that was like, okay, so I'm gonna go pick something nice and pretty for this tree. And so then I go out and bring back the pot that I thought it was good. And then my senior just looks at me and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "This is an old lady. That's a stiletto. You can't put the two together, right? Go find one more appropriate for that tree, right? Something that is not so pretty, but it's a little bit feminine and not so strong, right? Not so tall, not so, you know, so a little bit more subdued that would match that personality of that tree, right? So that was an excellent lesson for me. Another thing is that he needs to have character. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and it has to have personality as well, right? It needs to speak to you. It needs to say something to you, right? It needs to tell a story. It needs to say, well, where has it been? What has happened to this tree, right? Is this somebody that you would like to have a conversation with? Okay. Every time you move away, the headphone kind of gives up. Okay, it needs to hold your interest, right? So if you just look at a tree and you move away, it's not a good tree, right? And it needs to make you feel something, okay? It was interesting to me that when I was working in Japan, all the trees that we had at our nursery, I can guarantee you, would probably be the best tree you had in your collection. You know, if you were to have one of those trees, it would definitely be the best tree I had in my collection right now, right? And 90% of you guys is probably be the best tree as well, okay? And every time I always ask the groups, because we had a lot of groups coming by, and I would ask them, like, okay, which one is your favorite tree? And everybody would pick something different. It wasn't a constant thing, right? Every tree was beautiful, but there was one tree that really spoke to that person. And what I started noticing is that every time they would pick the tree, if they were there with somebody else, that tree mirrored this person that they were with, right? And I started noticing this, and I thought, you know, I must be crazy, right? And then I started saying, okay, so, you know, is this really happening? So I started asking everybody that would come by, which was your favorite tree? And sure enough, they would match every single time. They would match, right? There was something about that tree that spoke to them. They couldn't verbalize it, but I could see it. They couldn't see it, but I could see it. And I would just smile every time they would say, "Oh, yeah, I like this tree." I'm like, "Yeah, of course you do. Look at who you're with, right? Yeah, that's why, right? This is the person you love. This is the reason why you love this tree. Okay, so it has personality. It has something that speaks to you. Some of the styling inspirations that I use is, you got to think about the imagery that you're trying to portray, right? What is the strength that you're trying to give? Where is the location that you're trying to represent, right? So earlier we were talking about that juniper that we had on here, right? And you want it to become a windswept, right? So where does that live, right? And what type of environment will it carry through to be able to have that look, right? So we need to give that feeling to that tree. And that's why I said, okay, maybe bring up the branches a little bit more, right? Because the branches going down, it wouldn't survive very long, right? Is it a tropical location? Is it a harsh location, right? Is it soft? Is it easy environment? You can give all of these things inside your tree. Okay, you can represent every single one of these things in your tree, right? What is the direction of the sun? What's the prevailing wind looks like, right? All of this is represented on your bonsai. What type of terrain do you have, right? Is it clinging to a rock? Is it, out in the meadow, right? Is it on the side of a mountain, right? Is it on a cliff? All of these things we're representing in our tree, okay? So that's where the styling okay? That's where the styling comes into play. This is the things that you need to have in your mind when you're looking at your trees, when you're selecting a tree, when you're buying a tree, okay? You think about these things. Right, aesthetics. Is it a simple design? Is it refined enough? Okay, or is it not refined enough for a particular design that you're looking for? Right? It can be an abstract in nature. Is it clean? I've seen so many beautiful trees, but if it has one dead leaf on it, right, or one yellowish leaf on it, and it's not supposed to have that for that time of the year, your eye goes straight to that thing and you don't see anything else but that thing, right? If it has a bunch of weeds on it, your eyes go straight to the weeds and that's it, right? Is it healthy? If it's not healthy, people will notice it right away, okay? Some of the design features, when we're looking at the roots, starting from the bottom, right? So what does the roots represent? They represent stability, they represent strength, right? So you need to have, we always like to have strong roots or really good roots for your trees. And we just want to show it off just a little bit, not a lot, okay? Unless that is the thing that you want to show, right? I've seen where there's just a mat of roots, but it just looks like one big piece of trunk almost, right? So the trunk, what is the trunk representing? It gives you the flow of the body of the tree, okay? Not necessarily the environment, but the flow of the body of the tree, right? It gives you age, gives you character, right? If you have a lot of, broken up pieces in the trunk, some gins, some dead branches, or some shari in it, right? All of that speaks volumes. Like, for example, that apple tree that came in today. That is beautiful, right? Look at all that character it has on it. And it was all on the trunk. We could really care less about everything else on the tree. But the trunk itself spoke volumes, right? That's something that says, yes, I've lived through a hard time. I lived a long time, and I have something to say. And I'm still here. I'm still alive, still producing fruit, right? The branches gives you the flow of the environment. Okay, so we can have a tree that's going in this direction, but yet have branches going up in this direction. Okay, because the prevailing wind is flowing that direction. Okay, so the branches we have grow this way, but the trunk maybe is trying to fight against that So it's kind of like doing this, right? So it's like if there's strong wind coming this way, the tree would want to go like this, right? It's like us when we're trying to we'll go against the wind, right? It still will go this way. You can have trees that go in this way, but what does that look like? It looks very lazy. Okay, it's like you're trying to write. It doesn't look balanced. But if somebody's going like this, right? You see the strength in it, right? You see the struggle that it has in it. Okay. The pot again needs to be a reflection of the top, okay, of the tree, the whole entire composition above. Again, we have the beautiful apple tree, and it's, you know, the little pot, this beautiful pot that is perfect for it. And here we're getting into some crazy things. When designing a tree, think about the personality that you're looking for. Okay, what is that tree really talking to you? What is it saying? What type of person can you think of that can be represented with this tree, right? What is the activity that they're doing? We had, for example, a couple of trees. We had a group planting in Bonsai, and when we referred to it, we always said, "Oh, go get that lazy mother," right? And it was because the tree was kind of like leaning back, kind of lazy, and the kids were kind of wild on the other side, just kind of like, you know, the smaller trees were kind of just like doing all kinds of crazy things, right? Going away from the mother. And so we called that the lazy mother grouping, right? What is the person movement and flows? You know, we talked about that earlier. And, you know, so we're really, what we're doing is imparting our views of humanity into these trees, okay? The anthropomorphic views, right, of the influences that we have. And you know, here's some examples of that, right? When we're talking about, we always heard about it as a sumo tree sometimes. Like, well, what does that mean, right? So we have something like this where, you know, we have a sumo wrestler that gets represented by a tree, right? So we have very thick trunks, right? Very tight foliage and very heavy looking, right? Or we can have a small lady, right? A young lady walking around, okay? You know, this could easily be a bunjin, right? And so, you know, or you can represent something a little bit different, right? This is Fujin, the wind god, being represented by this bonsai, which also carries the same name. Okay, and so you can see the why they called it that, right? You have this strong wind influence up here, but yet the heaviness of the foliage, right? You can see that here as well, right? The heaviness of the person, of this God, and all this movement going on it, okay? That's Fujin. So that's pretty much my presentation for today. Just to give you an idea of what I mean by personality and what do you mean by, you know, representing a person on a tree. Hopefully this at least puts it in your mind of what I'm thinking, and maybe it'll help you style your tree in the future as well. Okay, so that's it. Stop sharing. There we go. Thank you. So now we can go either way, dealer's choice. We can go through and talk about your trees that you guys brought in today. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Just put it on the steps. So we can go and talk through the trees you guys brought in. Hopefully you guys brought in some nice trees here, and just see what we see in them, and what we can do to bring it up to the next level, or if it's already there, you know, how can we maintain that? I think it would be very useful for you guys. Or I can start working on this tree here and finish that off if you want. So dealer's choice. Probably about 30 minutes, 35 minutes? Okay. All right. Sounds good. And then I can wire through the brakes. So let's move this light a little bit.
You're gonna work from that side?
Yeah. No, I'll work for both sides, but. All right, so this is the tree that your club gave to me to work on. It's a nice juniper shimpaku. It has a lot of characters, a lot of interesting things happening here. There are some interesting things that happened to it before that we don't know where we're going to go with. For example, you know, you have a couple of dead trunks here. Even though you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe at one point you had a 5th trunk. Now you're down to just 2. Okay, now you're down to just 2 trunks that are actually alive. All right. So then the question is, what do we do with the rest of this stuff? Right. What do we do with the rest of this tree to try to balance it out? And if at any point you guys have any questions, just please shout them out, okay? So I tried to wire most of it already. I think the only thing I have to wire is up here. So I'll put some wire on this up here. But before we do that, let's get rid of some of these things. Like this trunk here is dead and it's very long. And it's kind of like following this other trunk here, right? And it's kind of covering it up a little bit. So, you know, I think the best thing to do would be to, right? Yes, ma'am. It's a good question. Right now, to me, it doesn't speak much, but maybe if you turn a little bit, right? It's a little bit more character to it, right? It's almost like a dancer, kind of like stretching, right? So if you look at it this way, eventually, yeah, but not the right time right now. Yeah, maybe a little bit shorter pot. In general, these pots are not so good for bonsai, just in general. Okay, what ends up happening with these pots is that your roots will dry out here, and the only thing that's really maintained moist is down here. Okay. What happens when you have a tall tree is that gravity will pull the water down and will dry off the top. And then the only thing that's moist is down here. So it's actually better for the same volume. It's actually better to have a wider pot than a taller pot. Okay, for the same volume. Just because of this reason, and especially when it's really small, you know, really tight like this and so long. In this weather, especially, this is gonna burn, and that could be the reason why some of these trunks died off, anyways. Okay, you notice that the ones that really survive are kind of like in front here, where all the foliage has been covering up. Maybe the sun was coming this way, but when the sun was hitting here, it was burning these guys, right, and drying them out. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, so she's pointing at some holes where maybe some bugs got into it. You know, some borers. That could be an interesting portion of the tree. Make sure you kill them, and I'm sure they're probably dead already. As much lime sulfur as this tree has had. This one. It's already a gym. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's dead, right? So it's already a gym. It's no longer alive, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we have this one on this side as well, right? We have some interesting movements, but here we have this very straight branch. I think we cut that off. We'll break that off. And you notice I'm breaking off instead of cutting off, right? One thing is that this tree is already very dry. This branch is very dry and it's easy to do. But when you break it off, it gives you, a more natural look to it at the end than it is if I was to go in there with some pliers or some other tool. We have another piece in here, right in here, right? Kind of like a little belly button or something coming out of here. I kind of don't like where it's growing, so we're gonna try to break that off as well. I grab some pliers and twist. And personally, I'm not a big fan of very long gins. A little too far back, maybe. Take it all the way off. Hmm? No, it's dead. And nothing is going to grow there again. Okay. So what I'm doing here is actually just rubbing my hands to remove the bark that he had on before. Okay. And whoever wins this can keep playing at it, trying to take off that bark. So then that opened up a little bit more, right? Now you can see the two trunks playing with each other a little bit more. And then we're eventually going to turn it this way. So I'll go ahead and put it in another pot to put it in the right angle. So which direction do you guys like better? This one or this one for the front? This one here versus this one? Right, or this one here. Right, so, okay, hands up. This side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, off by 1. All right, so we have this side here, right? Okay, So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up wiring up here. So this is gonna get a little bit boring. So if you have some announcements or whatever, you can do it that at the time. Yeah, you can take a break. Yeah.
Which way do you like to cut?
Oh. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Now it's happy they made it. Made it here. Well, you know, you can go there and buy some tickets as well. I think when the crowd's down there. This, you know, if you buy $40 worth of ticket, I can guarantee you will buy $40 worth of ticket. Yeah, that's guaranteed. Yeah, you get better chances of winning. Can we turn on these lights? Yes, thank you.
So I can add lighting access to my resume.
There you go, that's right.
Except I don't have a resume.
Oh, we don't need one, right?
And you can look up there to see where it is. Mark, how long you been doing bonsai already? How long have you been into bonsai?
Just a couple of years.
Oh, okay. You're new.
I'm still
Great.
learning not to kill them.
Oh, that's an important part.
It's a challenge for me to decide what the tree wants to look like, or what I want.
I'm sorry, Juan, may I use your mic?
The big one.
So Juan, this is Carmen. Can you hear me? I'm on Zoom. No?
Yes, sir.
Would look so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Renee. Hi, Renee. So I was,
That's an idea. But the problem is with that. So for those on Zoom, the question that I got was, should we remove a lot more of the foliage down at the bottom and maybe push it up a little bit? Yeah, it's an interesting proposition. However, this tree is already very leggy, right? So if we were to shorten it up, we will remove the character of the tree. Okay? We would be going against what is naturally already doing, right? Against the character of the tree. So it would look very contrived. It would look very forced, right? So I'm thinking maybe keeping a little bit of the legginess for now. Might be a little bit better than removing too much. Okay. Yes. Yeah, the big long gins are not. Is there much movement on these branches? Not too much. No, not too much. You're gonna break it if you keep doing that. Yes.
Can you hear me, Carmen? I'm gonna hang up the phone and say something to me. Oops, wait. I'm gonna hang up and I want you to say something on Zoom to me, okay?
okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, but we won't be able to hear Juan.
Not just yet. I'm gonna give the earbud back to Juan. So if they have questions, they can ask him. Okay?
Okay, so if anybody has a question for Juan, she's going to give the earbud back to him. You can unmute yourself and ask a question right now if you would like.
You might want to be asking a question.
Yes. Thank you. Anybody on Zoom right now wanting to ask some questions?
I've asked
Hello,
people
hello.
if they want to ask a question.
Yeah, so I can listen to the people on Zoom right now. If you want to ask any questions at this point. How you doing, brother?
Good.
Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm sorry I didn't bring a boxwood for you. Yeah, they're your favorite. So, Bob, what are you doing now? So, how are your trees doing?
Well, I had a problem with it at the beginning of the year. We had some weird weather.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in June we had 100-degree weather.
Wow. And you haven't had that since then.
No, this is the first time. I mean, I actually put a shade cloth this year. I
Wow.
bought a panel. This is 50% shade cloth. I put my deciduous center because it's starting. You know, yeah, it's weird. I put up 30% this year. This is the first time. Same here. I mean, I've been on business. I've been up here 11 years. And I never really, especially in June, I was on the week off to do weather. In June, we had a week that was 100-degree weather, and the rain stuff. You know what? So, I set up an area on my benches where I could put this straight off. And keep my fingers particular fingers.
Your bougainvillea must have been happy.
I don't have that focus.
Oh, you don't have the bug anymore? Oh, okay.
Because when I moved up here, I was told to put the trees in the river.
Like a.
And so I donated to them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I have another day, but it's not as big as.
I'm doing good. Sorry, this is one of my favorite people in the world. Oh, wow.
It's a wimpy bird.
Wow.
But I have to put them between them.
Yeah. That's okay. You have the room.
No, well, no, I really don't.
Oh, okay.
I think my shop is good.
Okay. No problem. Thanks a lot for stopping by, but appreciate you. Oh, Mariposa. Oh. You guys got smoke up here? No.
What is it? Air quality index? No, this is up in Classic. With the colder climate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got asked.
I've had to travel to China and went to Beijing one time on a business trip. I couldn't see the building across the 4-lane street. from the smog.
I was in Tokyo with the salmon.
Yeah, and the air was yellow.
I remember I was in LA in the mid-80s. And I said, it's not that funny, I'm surprised. And he said, there's a mountain in front of you.
Yeah, but still, you don't know what extension is. I was born with this. Still has the homework.
And it completely killed us.
You'll be in the newsletter now.
All right. Let me suck my stomach in.
I always forget to do that.
I can see that. You went to Cruz?
The other way. Well, I have it like that way.
Don't worry about it.
This is below. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my next question. What do we do with that branch?
Well, it's not gonna go home in that.
No, it's okay. Just I just want to hold it for.
You want to turn it? Yeah.
Just a general question. I have a juniper that I'm not even sure it is, but it's got some real strong branches, a real interesting trunk, but the side branches and the ramifications are like bar branches, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense to alternate those, cut those off alternately?
If you think that it will improve the overall design, yes.
Okay.
You
You're
can make a
saying the
call.
bar, yeah, okay. I know what I like.
Yeah.
The look of it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So the question was whether you should remove the bar branches on the juniper that he owns. My answer was, it depends on what it is that you're trying to cover up, what it is that you're trying to emphasize. Really, it always depends. The good answer to any bonsai question, it depends.
What I like, and then I'll find out after a couple years.
Yeah,
Make a right decision.
correct. Yeah.
Yes, I moved up here a couple of years ago. I lost a whole lot of my bonsai crops. And so I tended not to trim branches off because I was afraid that they were in a weak
Mm-hmm.
condition.
I'm learning that I try to get it wrong, but a lot of times by trimming the branches, you make it healthier. Is that
Okay.
true? It can.
So Juan, could you see that you would graft that somewhere, or are you happy with the branching?
Should I graft more branches on this? Is the question from
Yeah,
the
I'm curious.
I think it's fine just the way it is.
Okay.
I mean, if you did have some backbiting, I would take advantage of those if I could. But I think it's fine. Kind of long, leggy, and loose. It's kind of like my thought on this is, if I have to give you a vision of what I'm looking at, is almost like a bunjin, but in a cascade, semi-cascade style. Right? And so bunjin means that you don't have too many. The foliage is not very full. Yeah, so it's kind of light, not very heavy.
So what's its personality then?
So if I had to put it, it'll be like a dancer trying to stretch out before going out, and
I like your analogy.
yeah, going out and exercise and doing a show. So here we are stretching, so we want to elongate it a little bit more, right?
Now, this section is really full. This section is more like you said, the dungeon. Is that,
It's full for now.
is there a contrast there? Is that a?
It's full for now. We just wait. Yeah.
Thank you. I've lost a lot of my tools, or at least they're in unlockable boxes in the garage. Do you have a online place that you recommend?
If you have tools in your garage, I suggest you go find them. And so the question was, he has a lot of tools that he lost inside his garage.
Well,
in unopened boxes because he's just moved from LA. So if you have those, go find them because they're going to be a lot cheaper than if you go out and purchase them. So is there any good online place? I can't recommend any. I just haven't purchased tools. Not that I don't think they exist. I just haven't purchased tools in such a long time that I couldn't. Right. So for beginners, what I would suggest is to buy a good pair of scissors. Okay. I think a good pair of scissors would be your number one priority. And then after that, what do you buy next? Good wire cutters.
okay.
Okay.
Whole collection of wire.
Yeah, a good set of wire cutters. And I would suggest you actually invest in buying a really good pair of scissors before you buy any other tools. Okay. Like spend some good money on them. Like, above $100 on a good pair of scissors. Masakunis or some of the others. And because they will last you. They will last you forever. If you buy a cheap set of scissors, you're going to end up buying a new set. Yeah. So they're asking me if I get started. I don't think I've stopped yet, so I have started. I have some water right there. I'll get it in a few seconds. Thank you. Does this tree back buds? Yes, quite often. You can see a lot of the new back buds back there. Oh yeah. I'm having fun. Okay. Yeah, 15 minutes.
You're taking a lot of,
I'm taking it out. Oh. It's a pretty healthy tree.
Yep, yep.
No, I don't. I don't have a nursery. Yeah, I do get some classes, especially on, while we were on Zoom during the COVID. We pretty much taught almost all the Zoom classes for our club. Yeah. But yeah, we can do Zoom classes if you're interested.
How long do you have to keep it at the angle to train the roots to go down before repotting?
You don't. How long do you have to keep it at this angle to train the roots to go down? You don't. No, it's fine. A couple more wires. Okay.
Particular tree branch that would work best, not for beginners.
Off of this tree?
No, I didn't know. Something in general or a beginner should use.
So what is a good branch or tree to start with a raft? Typically you want to use one that is predominantly growing from one side of the tree, right? So those trees are usually, defected trees that we use for rafts. But if you want to intentionally do one, you can take a tree and then just cut all the branches off one side and use that. Lay it down, wire it up. Everything is more successful for a beginner. Yep, because you know why? Because you're gonna try more than one. More than one. Yeah, a person with more experience, they're not gonna try it all. A person with little experience is gonna try a lot. Yeah. So yeah, you have lots of chances. Somebody told me that you couldn't bonsai or you couldn't keep a potted manzanita tree. So then what did I do? I bought 20 of them and tried, and now I have one that I've had for about 7 years. Manzanitas. So yeah, there was one branch that I took off that was here. That was much lower, right? So it was here. Yes. That's why I didn't wire it. Yes. Okay, I could keep playing with this forever.
You could.
But I think we have other things that we need to do as far as the club is concerned. So for the people on Zoom, if you back up a little bit, then you can see it a little bit better.
It's beautiful. I
And
like
you
the way
get it from that side because the light is on this side.
yeah. I like the way it's kind of almost undulating. It's very pretty, very graceful.
So we have the tree. So yeah, let's move in a little bit. You can see the depth a little bit more down here. Eventually we're gonna be dropping these branches a little bit more. Yep. Okay.
And could you talk about the pot that it's
All
going to
right.
go in?
There we go. This is a pretty nice tree. I think it has along my. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done with this tree now. I cut enough, I think. All right, I think I'm pretty much done with this tree now. Hopefully you guys are gonna enjoy it. Whoever wins it is gonna have a very nice tree. Too bad I didn't put money in the pot, but maybe I should, because I would like to take this tree home. Actually, this is a really nice tree. I wouldn't mind it. So for the audience members, for the people that wanted this side, sorry, maybe that's not the best side, but I went ahead and chose this side a little bit, right? So this branch is very important back here, this trunk. It just kind of gives it a little bit more depth, right? Here we have everything. It's kind of long and lanky, but eventually you can bring it back a little bit more if you get more buds in the back here. There's still some things I would like to cut off. I have a branch back here that is just not speaking to me too long, so we'll cut it off.
Better speak up.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't speak up, you get cut off. Right. So my vision for this is more of a cascading, semi-cascade bunjin. Okay. So bunjin, for those new people, it's a very stylistic style that it's more sparse in its foliage and it's more tall and skinny. Okay. So let me cut some more stuff off. Just the final touches here. This is a little bit full in here, and I only have a lot of branches going down. So we'll trim this off a little bit. Same with here. A lot of these things that are going down, we'll trim them off. And I'm trying to promote is the pad up here. Okay. Yeah, several. We're building up pads on top of pads. And this one. Would I recommend putting it in a shallower pot? Yes, absolutely. I don't think these pots should be used. Personally, I don't like to use them as bonsai pots. I mean, they look neat, and if you are going to keep a tree in this type of pot, make sure you water more often. Okay? So you might need to go out there and water maybe 2-3 times a day, maybe even 4 in your area, if you want to use this type of pot. These are nice. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy them. It's just, I think it's for our growing purposes. The way a lot of times we water and we maintain our trees is just not suitable for it, right? We got to go to work. We have other things to do. If you're at a bonsai nursery and you're taking care of this pot, yes, we go out there and do it all the time, right? We're watering 3, 4, 5 times a day, right? But what do I mean by that? That means we go out there and check the tree 4 or 5 times a day to see if it needs water. If it needs water, we add water. If it doesn't need water, we don't add water, right? So that's what I mean by we water 4 or 5 times a day. We don't actually put water on the tree. Sometimes we may just come by and just go a very quick spray, just to maintain the topsoil moist. Okay, we're not going to be deep watering to where we let all the water come out the bottom of the pot.
Do you check if it needs water by sticking the
We check, so the question is, do we check if it needs water by sticking some sort of chopstick or something else to measure the moisture? No, we look at the soil, right? We look at the soil, we get familiar with it, right? By going out there every day, multiple times a day, okay?
Do you mind putting a piece of copper down there?
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something. I don't know if it was said before at the start, but this tree came from the collection of Don Castleman. He lived over in Pad 40, and he was a long-time member here. He had us on home tours to his house at least on 2 occasions. I know that Tina's worked with his wife Barbara to make sure that everybody had an excellent visit while he was there. She was a member of the Mountain Park.
Yes.
I'm thinking that we probably don't have time to do much more, but I think we're just probably gonna go and do the raffle now.
Okay, first of all, does anybody have a tree that they really would like to talk about, that they brought it in? Anybody? Okay, if not, then we'll get going then.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. I hope you win this tree. Okay. All right, Burnett, did you buy any tickets?
I bought tickets.
All right.
I did too. I've got your hand.
Okay, Tim, which one is your color, man?
Both of them.
Okay.
Okay, right. Close your eyes and I'll tell you which one.
So here, hold on. We'll move this, we'll move that,
Okay,
and then
okay.
we can that. Okay, so I even I'm not looking, just to make sure, you know. It could be the new people, could be the old people. Well, everybody's old. All right, got you. All right. So we have the ticket here. We'll put it underneath here. And okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll get it.
Oh, okay.
C-A-L. Initial C-A-L.
I can do that. This one's putting the light on me.
Okay, here we go. Okay, go grab one, please. Next. Bill D. Bill D, go grab a tree, please. Next. Yeah. All right. DN. Blue ticket, DN. DN, go. Okay. Next ticket. Mark, blue ticket, Mark. Go. ABP, if you didn't put your name on it, ABP. It doesn't look like it's coming up. There we go. Bill D, Bill D. Okay, again, otro más.
And another Bill D.
And another Bill D. D, Bill D, you have 3 of them. All right. Blue ticket, Cal, C-A-L. We'll pass, we'll go, next. Yeah, they're waiting for the big tree. Bill D again, Bill D bought all the tickets. You guys are.
4.
That's enough, I guess. Is that K-O-D?
KOD.
K-O-D. Oh, my favorite person. Okay. Blue ticket, no name. Here we go. Check your numbers, people. 8483. Blue ticket, 8483.
4, 8.
You're not it.
Nope, I'm not it.
8483. Anybody? Blue ticket, 8483. Okay, that's it. You're it.
Oh, you got 2 of them there.
Okay. Orange ticket, J Butler.
Oh,
Okay, do we have enough already?
how many do we have to go?
Okay, pick some quickly so we know which ones how many more we have to go. Okay,
Keep going.
DB, Delta Bravo.
Debbie Belanti.
Okay. Good one.
Sylvia.
Sylvia. Okay. Sylvia. Anybody? Sylvia? Going once? Twice? No.
No, he's had enough. He has enough.
Sylvia, you have 2. Let's get some from underneath this time.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Trying to get him.
Okay, here we go. Cal. Pass. No, turn it.
Turn it.
There we go.
This than I am.
All right, orange ticket. No name. 332, last 3. 332.
332. That would be me.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder you were over here trying to get something. Yeah, that's called cheating. J Butler, una más. 2 more. Okay. Oh, some of them fell down. Sylvia, you got it. Blue ticket, no name. 488. That's not you. 488.
Clarence has it.
Yep. Clarence, you're it. No, that one. Okay, so we're done. Now we're ready for the other one. Okay. So we're gonna call out numbers just to make it more exciting. Let's see if anybody matches. I'm not gonna tell you. You gotta look at your numbers. I'm not gonna tell you. You gotta look at your numbers. I don't want you to give up so fast. All right, you want me to start from the right or the left? Huh? I won't tell you what color it is. You got to look at all your numbers. Okay, so starting for the left-hand side, it's a 4. All right, who's still in? All right, then there's followed by a 2. Who's still in? Everybody, right? And then it's 6. Okay, now here we start dropping people. 3. And then a 5. Okay, we still have people here? If not, I'm taking it home. Okay, and then the last number is a 7. 357, orange ticket. Sylvia. Yay! All right, Sylvia, there you go. This is your tree. How do you like it? All right, so let's look at the camera.
Hi. Did you guys get a picture?
There we go.
Okay, awesome.
You heard it.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
I'm the treasurer, so that's why I'm in the back of the
Oh,
room.
damn. See, I knew who to cheer up for money. Yeah. Where's my money? Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Totally appreciate you having me here. Thank you. Hopefully you guys online enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, we're so rushed.
No problem.
I think Jody's trying to give us vertigo here.
Okay.
So anytime anybody wants to go, I guess we're done.
Bye.
I don't think they're gonna, obviously, I guess they're not gonna try again for the waltz video. Let me find out from